There will be no spoilers in this video because I encouraged everyone who clicked on this video to watch this show themselves. It restored my faith in humanity. Yesterday I finished watching this little show on Netflix called Jupiter's Legacy, and I was kind of blown away. I'm not gonna lie. It's very hard to even find words to describe how much I love this show, because these days, these months, whatever, all the superhero media that I've watched have been kind of disappointing. As I've said in the last video that I made, and seeing something that was really, really good and really refreshing, and it had a deep message, it had meaning, it let you think, and it made you feel so much. These days I feel like superhero media has become very superficial, but this one is not like this. It makes you feel powerful emotions. It makes you feel wonder and sad and sorrow and happiness, greatness. And this show is special to me because it's more than just, that hero versus villain kind of story. It's not really about that at all, but it's more so about what it means to be a hero. The responsibility that a powered individual comes with, which is something that we don't see much these days. I feel like a lot of heroes today aren't really that heroic, to be honest. They're either forced by the writers to be funny all the time, and so they don't really do much. They don't really say and do meaningful things, or they're plain selfish. They look for their own interests more than the world's, and that's not really very heroic to me. I feel like these days so many shows have a very nihilistic look on heroes. They either say that there is no moral right or wrong at all, that superheroes have a gray morality just like every other human being and whatever, which is absolutely absurd. I mean, there is a moral right and wrong, there always has been, but and even more so in superhero stories. Before superhero stories, we had fairy tales. Every nation has had fairy tales in its culture, and fairy tale heroes are amazing. They were always supposed to be better than everybody else, kinder, smarter, stronger, and that is what superheroes of today should be like. They should be morally outstanding, in my opinion, because that is what makes them a hero. That is why you can call them superheroes, because they are outstanding, morally speaking. And I feel like a lot of superhero media these days misunderstands that message, because if there's just a character that has superpowers but doesn't have a very strong moral compass, then that character is not a hero. That character is just abusing their powers in a way, because I feel like in this show it says if you have these kind of immense powers and yet you don't use them for the right cause, then you're even worse than just a regular lazy human being, because you have a responsibility to the world. And that point is shown in this series by the conflict between Sheldon and his daughter Chloe, who sees herself as just a human basically, and doesn't understand that with her power comes, as Spider-Man stories would tell you. And it's also what Sheldon knows deep inside and why he cares about his morals so much. They are not normal humans. They never will be normal human beings anymore, and Sheldon understood that from the start. The main character, I mean. Sheldon is the main character of the story, and Chloe didn't, and that's why she's very selfish, you know. She doesn't just not do anything good, she also continuously does pretty messed up things in this show. Don't get me wrong, I love shows about anti-heroes and even villains as much as everybody else does, but when it comes to superheroes, I want the main character, the hero, to be a hero. I want the main character to be outstanding and larger than life. And I feel like Jupiter's Legacy strikes that perfect balance between making the main character a role model, a hero, bigger than life, and also a human being with flaws and problems to face. Sheldon is by no means a perfect man. He is often cold and a bit harsh on his children. He is stubborn, very stubborn and hot-headed, but he's also an amazing person. He is a cold-hearted believer. He's moral above everything, and he's a man who makes difficult decisions every day. When the world keeps telling him that it's okay to kill people, if it's for self-defense purposes or for general safety, he refuses to do so because he believes that heroes have no right to do that. He also believes that they have no right to take part in government because if they were to become power hungry, if they were to try to control the world in any way, there is nobody that could stop them. They're just so much more powerful than any human being on the planet. And he abides by those rules to a T. He doesn't give up on them no matter what anybody tells him, because he is a great person. And it's really funny because the world thinks he does these things because of his selfishness. Like, everybody keeps telling him, he's such a control freak, you're such a control freak. But no, he's just a really good guy. He's a really good guy. He believes everything that he says, and I think that is wonderful. We need more superheroes that have a strong moral code and that follow it through to the end. And I really missed these types of heroes. I really missed this so much. I feel like him and Steve Rogers would be best friends forever if they ever met. I love the fact that he pushes both himself and his teammates to always do good and to hold themselves accountable when they do wrong. I love that so much about him. And I think after this series, he's like my third favorite superhero ever. And I just admire him so much, especially because he has been through so much. He had to face so many of his own demons and his own challenges throughout the story, especially the backstory plot in the show. And yet he is still selfless to no ends, you know. He still does everything in his power to keep the world safe, and I think that is wonderful, truly. And he's also, as I said, a very layered and flawed character, which contradicts the idea that some people have these days that heroes with good moral compasses are somehow boring or flat. They're absolutely not boring if you know how to write them the correct way, and this show absolutely proves that. There are also other awesome characters in this show, of course. Sheldon may be my favorite, but his brother Walter, his friend George, and his wife Grace are all really interesting as well. It's a shame the second season is cancelled because after the finale, both Walter and George had so much potential for their characters. And it would And I still don't fully believe this project is gone forever. It would be insane for this to go and for shows like Emily in Paris to stay for who knows how long. And I really hope Netflix wakes up and sees that they need more quality content like this on their platform. But going back to the characters, Walter is really interesting and also flawed and very well developed. And I don't want to spoil anything, but in the last episode he becomes even more interesting as a character, and by the end he's like one of my faves. I don't know, he's probably like my second or my third fave of this show. He's so interesting. And also George. Wow, George is from the beginning to end is extremely interesting, and again, he had so much potential for future seasons, and it makes me so sad that I might actually never see these characters again. It's so crazy to me because they're all so amazing, and it's such a shame that that so little people have actually watched this show. And again, please go watch this show on Netflix. I really want this to be picked up for season 2, man. And also Grace is just a sweetheart all around. There's not a lot to say about her. I don't think she's really that she doesn't have a lot of depth or anything, but she's a really sweet character, and she calms Sheldon down a lot. I feel like he's a hot-headed, stubborn kind of mess, and she's more calm and reserved, and they fit together very well as a couple too. Like, they're wow. And also, I really like her character development later on, and it makes total sense why she, her character development just makes sense in the end. And I also, I can't believe I can't believe I might never see these characters again. It's such a shame, man. The plot is also really solid. It's not perfect by any means, especially because the young cast, in my opinion, can be very annoying, and especially Chloe, which is Sheldon's daughter, is just such a pain in the ass. Honestly, I anytime that she appeared on screen, I kind of just skipped past it because she was so annoying. But also, it makes sense in the context of the show why she acts this way, because she's a sort of foil to Sheldon's ideals, I guess. And it just pushes Sheldon on the edge, the fact that their relationship is so strained. It makes sense for the show why she would act this way, but she's still very annoying to me. And a lot of, the big majority of the young cast was very annoying. I think Brandon has some potential though. He can be sort of I feel like he could be sort of a Batman type figure in the future, sort of working with his father, but also not entirely. It's interesting because Brandon is the only young person that actually has a moral compass, and he has the potential of being a hero. Again, the season left him on kind of an open direction, there's no real, we don't know exactly how he's going to become in the future, and we might never know. But I really like the fact that the backstory plot and the modern plot mashed together in the last episode, and it just makes sense. The whole journey just makes sense even more in the end, and it's so beautiful how they merge these two plots together, because I preferred the backstory plot a lot more. I thought it was just some of the best storytelling I've seen in a long time. The backstory plot was fucking amazing, okay? And the modern plot was also really good, but just not as interesting as the backstory plot. But because they merged together in the last episode, it also makes the modern plot so much more intriguing, especially because the last episode focuses a lot more on the adult characters rather than on the younger cast, which are a lot more interesting, especially because you see all of that like backstory and how all of them came to be. And it's so fucking good. The last episode, man, I cannot get over that last episode. It was amazing. Some of the plot twists and reveals in it, just holy shit. If you start this show, you have got to watch it all the way through. Like, it was groundbreaking for me. I really love this show, especially because it's such a grounded superhero show, which is my favorite type of superhero show. Like, grounded superhero shows are really it for me. If you can make a good grounded superhero show, you've got me. You've really got me, and especially because the characters are so great. Like, there's so many characters I love in this. It's just it's really the whole package for me. I love it so much. Love it. And I also love the fact that this show takes itself seriously, unlike a lot of superhero media today, while also not being an edgelord fest. I think that it is incredibly rare to see this kind of balance being stricken, and I admire the creators so much for that. I don't know what else to say without spoiling anything, so I will just stop here. The reason why I wanted to make this video so bad and so fast after I've seen it was because I want more people to know about this show. There are so little people who have actually seen this, and I myself would have never heard of it if it wasn't for another YouTube channel who also makes analysis videos. And I think that shows like these that have a lot of thought put into them, that have good story, great characters, that have so much good writing and like care put into them, like the people who made it actually care so much about it. I think that these are the shows, the movies, whatever, that deserve more recognition than anything, because there's so much media, you know, these days, so many TV shows that are just there, you know, like they're just the bottom of the barrel, you know, the curators didn't care about them being put out there. So when a show like this comes along with real care put into it and real good quality, it deserves all the praise. And I really hope I've inspired at least a few people to watch this show. And I really hope that somehow season 2 will be this show will be renewed for season 2. I really hope this isn't the last I see of it. And that's kind of it for today. So tell me in the comments if you've seen this show, what you think, and goodbye. See you in the next video.